Yeah. So yeah, as I mentioned before, we're going to import some sound effects, import some music, and have a little bit of a look at how we can apply Elastic Audio to those, just to make the most out of them, let's say. So first of all, let's source some sound effects. Now, as we did before, what I'd like you guys to do is, you don't have to. You can get it from YouTube if you want to, but the sound effects on freesound.org do tend to be pretty decent. And remember, in the PDF for spotting sound effects, the second PDF that's in the Dropbox folder, there should be an actual link to that. So you just click on it and it'll go straight to it. Excuse me. So let's focus on that Kung Fu one. Yeah. Because it is very genre specific. So if we just chuck Kung Fu into our little search bar here, then we have a whole bunch of fight sounds that we can use. Now the funny thing about Kung Fu is that they really only had 4 or 5 sound effects. That's why they sound so kitschy. There was like one punch sound in the entire movie for like a punch to the body, one for a punch to the face, one for a kick to the body, one for a kick to the head. And it was just so repetitive that it was, it wasn't particularly violent, let's say. It was just Groundhog Day-ish. So we can do exactly the same kind of thing here. Let's have a listen to the kick. Beautiful. And that one is cool. What I like about these is that they are very Kung Fu-y in that they have got the whoosh and then like a really hard transient. You probably hear it. It's like you hear the before the impact. So what I'll do is I'll grab just one kick and one punch, just so that we can do this Elastic Audio stuff. Elastic Audio is going to let us do a lot of things. It's going to let us, manipulate the length of the sounds. It's also going to let us manipulate the pitch of the sounds if we want to. So with one sound effect, we can do some slight changes in pitch and time, and we can actually create, a whole bunch of sounds which won't be too similar. They won't sound as repetitive. And yeah, why not? We'll chuck in some Kung Fu screams as well. I would even listen to that because, you need a good scream. Kung Fu, obviously. Is that downloading? So Kung Fu Punch, the scream is downloading, that's great. Yeah, again, really, really handy website, this one, so have fun with it. Kung Fu Clothes Hits. Let's have a listen to that. What's that? What's this? No. Oh. So music would be interesting. Let's see if we got the flute. Yeah, sure, why not? We'll just grab that. So we'll grab us a flute. Now that to me sounds a little bit like a sting. You can choose to use a sting if you want to, just to transition into, a different part of a film. It's usually like, think of it as when the bad guy was there with a mustache, when he fiddles the mustache, it's kind of like that. It's just like a little musical grab that lets you know what it's about. Maybe we can introduce the whole concept of Kung Fu with that little flute. Yeah, sure, why not? Let's see if we can find some action music. Action music's usually just heavy on the rhythms, because in action sequences, there's usually a lot of sound effects happening, be they punches or cars or whatever, a chase sequence. So what they usually do is they stick to like a rhythmic element so that all the other sounds can jump out, but it also keeps a pace. So let's see if we can find some action music, because, it's a very action kind of scene. Let's see. No. Yeah, maybe. there's a lot of gold here. All right, let's just go to the 80s synth music. I don't know. Let's just make it terrible. And I mean, amazing, not terrible. It's truly amazing. So is that 80s synth music? What's that called? Synth music 2. That's not downloading. Just make sure it's downloading. There we go. Great. So yeah, I think we've got enough to sort of demonstrate our our elastic audio here. Now, remember, one thing that I'd really like you guys to concentrate on is to organize all of your files in a way. Hold on a second. Get rid of that. That makes, just combine them into the same place so that you don't lose them. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to the folder that has this particular exercise in it. Where are we? Actually, I won't go in that folder because that's going to mess that up. Dang, I should have thought of this. I'm just going to create a folder here called phone call sound effects. And of course, it should go directly into your downloads folder. So there we go. I'm just going to grab all of them. Great, one's an MP3. That's less than ideal, but whatever. And we have all of our other Kung Fu sounds, and I'm just going to drag and drop them into the phone call SFX. And then, you can delete them from your downloads folder if it's on a separate drive, you know what I mean? It's just a better thing to do. A lot of times, you could just accidentally go through and, do a bit of a clean. So it's always good. As soon as you download your files, rename them or keep the name, but just put them into a folder so you know exactly where they're going to be. So now that we've done that, let's find that Kung Fu section. Here we go. Someone rubbing their head. I'm assuming you just got clonked. Of course you did. Is that the Kung Fu bit or is it later? I think it's later. Yeah, here we go. Oh, okay. There's a couple of things that we might want to get as well here. We might want to get a saucepan dong, and he does move his hands around a lot. So like a whole bunch of like whooshes would be good. We do have the whooshes, but they were attached to punches already, so that may not work as well. So yeah, before we get stuck into this, let's see if we got a saucepan hit sound. Saucepan lid, saucepan boiling over, saucepan hitting. Maybe it's a little high. Look, again, I don't want to spend the whole class looking for sound effects, so let's just say that one's going to be okay, and we'll maybe pitch it down a little bit. It is a little bit high. Doesn't sound particularly offensive. And we were also looking for whooshes. So I'll see if there's any like punch or
there's some good bamboo whooshes.
Bamboo. Yeah, that's a good one. Bamboo. What they usually do is, of course, they get the bamboo stick. They even perforate it a bit, and then it cuts the air a lot. So that can work quite well. Okay. Whoosh bamboo. Swing. Okay, let's have a look. Bit slow. Not bad. Okay, let's just use that and manipulate that maybe. We've got a few there just to make it easy so we can just grab all of those at the same time. So now that we have some more, I'm just going to hide Pro Tools. We'll go to the downloads folder and put that into the same folder as everything else, which is here, sound effects. There we go, cool. Awesome. All right, now, I did recommend that, you guys consider spotting, yeah? So spotting these things first. Stick hit on head. Oh, cool, so you did do some spotting. Nice one, Nick. I must have imported this when I imported your session. Yep, great. So that's, yeah, the stick hit moment, that's great. Okay, what else have we got here? I'm just going to go slowly through. There's that sort of reverse thing. Okay, so that is the crash zoom. We're going to have to address that. That might be the flute. I'm just going to write down and say it's a crash zoom so we can figure out what we're going to throw on there later. Now we've got the pan. Okay. So arm whooshes start around about here. Okay. The next sound effect is... Come on. Oh, that's right, he's doing his little speech. Okay, it's going to happen soon. Great. So we've got a saucepan whoosh. So we've got pan whoosh. Got the pan hit right about there. Fall into the chair. That might be something. And yeah, all right, cool. Let's just attack those elements. Oh, excuse me, itchy, strange. Sorry, stick to the head. All right, we'll start with the crash zoom thing. Yeah. All right, great. Command Shift I, and let's just sort of go directly to that. Actually, I'm not going to use Command Shift I. It is handy to use Workspace, just because of the preview function. I think we have looked at Workspace before. Yes, we have. So I'll just go to Window, New Workspace, Default, and make sure that I am pointed to that particular folder that I created with all the sound effects, which is, there we go, cool. So that's all the sound effects that we just grabbed then from freesound.org. And let's expand the old wave view and see what we got here. We've got the, okay, so these are the kick, punch, hitting pan, dizzy, these are the flute. Okay, yeah, might work, might not. Let's just check it in. Now, this is music, so technically I should really create a couple of music tracks, which I will do. Let's go to stereo audio tracks here, and yeah, let's just call them MX1 and MX2. And in comes Yol flute. Now, those WAV files, the size of the words is quite big. Let's make it a little bit smaller. Nice, and we'll make this as big as we can. Now, that's definitely not going to work as it is. My trusted client at the end of the phone has put me out of sync. My powers are unstoppable. Well, okay. Yeah, I'm not particularly happy with that, but let's just stick with it. I don't mind this last bit. There's so much reverb on this that it may be actually hard to cut the end of one. We may just need to use it as we have it. But I don't mind that last one. It's a little bit shorter, so I might cut that and paste it in here and see what we got. See if that does actually work. Probably won't. My trusted client at the end of the phone has put me... No, not really. Let's see if we can move it in a bit. It was a bit of overlap there. My trusted client at the end of the phone has put me out of sync. My powers are unstoppable. No, it's not working. All right, we'll just stick with what we got. Now, this is one of those examples where we can use one of the elastic audio things to really help us out, okay? So he's there and he's talking about how his powers are unstoppable. The music's there kind of reinforcing his emotions at the time. He just gets taken out. Right, okay, cool. So we can use elastic audio to have this make a little bit more sense. Yeah? First thing we have to do, of course, is turn on Elastic Audio. Now, in your tracks, you have your, record, input, monitor, solo, mute, as we all know. Here are all of your automation track views. You got your, it's not going to that too much, but down here you got that blank one. This is where you engage your Elastic Audio. Now, the thing is, you do have 4 options with Elastic Audio. You have polyphonic, rhythmic, monophonic, and vari-speed. Yeah, and they all do different things, or they're all better at doing different things, I should say. They're different algorithms. Now, do you remember when we had a little bit of a look at RX and I was sort of pushing it a bit hard and it started to sound a little bit like it was underwater and yucky? Yeah, that's the algorithm that you can hear. You don't want to hear algorithms. And because music and sound effects are so broad, you do have, anything from just like a bass guitar, which is like a very mono sounding instrument, to like a whole orchestra, you're going to need a whole bunch of different algorithms. Now, vari-speed is kind of like a DJ thing, that kind of effect. We can like really kill the pitch with that one. And that can be a bit of fun. And we might use that actually. Monophonic is better on mono sounding instruments like your mono synths or your bass guitars and things like that. Rhythmic, that's better for your orchestras. Just kidding, check if you're awake. It's more for your drums, anything that's transient, so it comes in hard and goes quickly. So it's got that's what it's more designed for. Polyphonic is basically for everything else. So most of the time, if you're doing this to dialogue, you're doing this to sound effects or anything like that, you're going to be using polyphonic. But for now, let's just check out vari-speed. Now, vari-speed, let's bring up, if you hit Option and 5 on the numeric keypad, these are your Elastic Audio properties. Actually, wait a second, do I want to do that? I don't know if I want to do that. I'm not going to use vari-speed. I lied. Yeah, there's a couple of things that we can do here. I'm going to use polyphonic because we're just going to try and adjust this to sort of make it fit a little better and have a little bit of a look at that. Okay, so we wanted that too. Okay, this is the end of that particular phrase. It'd be ideal if that kind of finished towards the smash on the head here, wouldn't it? That's kind of where we wouldn't mind it ending. So, look, there's a few ways that we could do this. We could always, cut out a section of it, delete it, blah, 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 but cut it up and sort of make it shorter that way. This is a little bit classier. I can see visually where I want it to happen. It's right there where those yellow lines are. If I just highlight that entire clip, and I can change the TCE factor here. So this is what we have available to us. Again, all you do is you hit Option and 5 on the numeric keypad and this thing pops up. You've got time code expansion, which does exactly what it says on the box. I can make it longer. I can make it shorter. I can either do it like here, affecting the percentage of the the value in that particular box of the TCE factor, or I can actually use this bracket tool in the TCE mode. You see that? That means that I can grab it and pull it, and it isn't, rendering it, which it would do if it wasn't in Elastic Audio. It's just making it malleable, which is kind of cool. So if I want this to sort of, end a little bit closer to where those, I was kind of about there, yeah. So let's play this and see what it sounds like.
My toasted grind at the end of the phone had put me out of sync. My powers are unstoppable.
Okay, it's not bad. It's working a little bit better because just the phrasing, helps a bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to extend that all the way out. Now, because ultimately it just took one saucepan hit and he failed, we can even have a look at how to use Verify here. And this is something that, again, is really fun to play with. I'm not going to use the Verify and Elastic Audio. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut it at the bong, pretty much here. and go up to Audio Suite. Now remember, Audio Suite is the effects that render onto the actual clip itself. So you highlight the clip if you just want to make that, apply an EQ to it. You render it through Audio Suite. It actually changes the audio inside that clip. It's not like a track-based thing. So if we go up to Audio Suite and go to pitch shift and go to verify, this is another way that we can manipulate the pitch shift files, but this is kind of a bit more fun. Let's just slow it down. What we're doing is we have that length, which is just really the tail. We'll have a listen to it. I might make it a little bit bigger. That's all that we're really manipulating. We can slow that down in the same way that if we had a record, we were just slowly putting our finger on it and making it slow down. Now we can have it fit to the selection, so make it the resulting pitch change as long as the selection is. Of course, if we extend it, it'll be longer because it takes a long time to slow down. Let's just see what that sounds like. I'm just going to render it and have a look at the audio clip here. It's extended, so it's going to be longer. Yeah, and this is what it does. Because you kind of hear that? Yeah. Now, I had to listen to that. Not a huge fan. I wouldn't mind having that last note. Yeah, we'll go a little bit further, and I'm going to fit it to that length. I don't want it to be too long. And let's see what that sounds like. That kind of works rhythmically. Yeah. So with a little bit of elastic audio, and of course, if we don't have a hard end, we can make an end with something like that, and it is slightly comedic, so we can, make it fit that way. It is the really lovely thing about this is if you are working to like a 30-second time frame and you have a grab of a song that's like 35 seconds, it's so easy to put it in elastic audio and just have a look at your grid and make it fit perfectly. It's really handy for ads and things like that. There's one thing that I do want you to be aware of though. This does take a substantial amount of CPU. So if you haven't got the greatest computer, what you may want to do afterwards is turn it off. Yeah, don't just leave it on every track all the time. The other thing that is handy to remember is that if you abuse this, Pro Tools is really nice and it tells you. So if you have the clip highlighted and you just do crazy things like go down to, I don't know, whatever percent, it is, dang it, that's actually a really similar color. I'm going to change the color. It will, here, we'll go green. It's not that one. Sorry, got to go clips and tracks. Yeah, there we go. Now you can see it. Before it was red. That is the clip itself. Now that I've abused it, it's kind of got this red halo around it. Yeah, that's the computer telling you, might want to rethink your life decisions. A bit like a face tattoo, So maybe don't hit it that hard. That's all that it's saying. Yeah. So it also glows red on that. So just be aware that that's what it really doesn't happen until you sort of start getting towards 20-30% kind of thing, and you've really you're making the algorithm work harder than it's comfortable with, Yeah. So once we have sort of adjusted that to the length we like, and we've applied a couple of effects to sort of stop it. Again, the most important part of any music track is when it starts and when it stops. So you had that crash zoom, so that's a great place to chuck in some music. There was no end other than a reverb, and this is an action sequence. It was going for way too long, So yeah, just do like a bad edit, but on purpose. What we basically just did then was with that whole verify pitch thing is it's a bad edit, but it's a musical bad edit, and it because this is a comedy, it kind of makes fun of that. So now that we've done that, what I'm going to do is go up here and go into none. And turn off elastic audio. It'll ask me if I want to commit. Not like for life or anything, just of course, the effect that you put on there. So let's just commit that and boom, we're done. Now it isn't in elastic mode, so it's not sucking up any CPU in the background there. So again, if you don't have the biggest computer, you should be fine. And it's just for, think about it as like for massaging. Let's try it on some effects, yeah? So what I'll do is I will put down, actually, why are the music tracks the same color? That's not good. I have so many colors. Beautiful. Oh, I always pick the best colors. I think we can all agree on that. Yeah. Crash zoom. Okay, let's see if we can work on the old hand movements there. What I might do just for now is I'm going to mute that music track because the one thing that I've found to be pretty handy, and this is going to make a lot more sense when you work on bigger edits, is that you don't usually jump from one thing to another. The first thing that you do is the dialogue, and you do that in isolation. It has to sound good on its own. That's kind of why I was even patching up those little holes when we were pulling down the sync effects and being a little bit OCD. But, you should hit play and the dialogue should play through, and that's all the dialogues, And then same thing with the sound effects, same thing with the ambience, the same with Foley when we get to that. And then really, the final mix of any kind of project is just seeing what is the most important at what time. It's kind of, but basically you never know. The director could be sitting in the room and he'd go, you know what I want to do right now? I want to pull out all of the music and just focus on the Foley and the sync. And if you haven't got those things set up and playing well, then you don't have the chance to do that. So it's going to be a little bit embarrassing and they probably won't want to work with you again, no matter how good the coffee is. Okay, so let's get some of that punchy, swingy action thing happening. I'll just get rid of all that sort of stuff. So where are our punches? We got our swoosh. Great. Okay, cool. So let's have a look at how we can quickly edit up some whooshes here. Now that is a stereo recording, which is interesting. It probably isn't. It's probably dual mono, but whatever. We don't need stereo whooshes, If it's like someone punching you in the face, I mean, look, the Indiana Jones punch, I think I mentioned Indiana Jones before, that is a stereo punch, but we don't need it in this kind of regard. Cool. Now, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these little whooshes in there. There's a really cool tool that Pro Tools comes with. That was a tongue twister. And we can separate files really simply. It's called Strip Silence. Yeah. I don't know if you've found this thing before, but if you have something like this and what you want to do is isolate the actual effects and get rid of all of them or the nothing, you highlight the clip, you hit Command and U. Now, I can't think of a single reason why it's U, because Strip Silence doesn't have a U in it, but you can probably see the little white lines in the box there. If you adjust the, there's the minimum strip duration, the threshold, that sort of a thing. We might extend the tail a little bit too. And you can see that it's actually kind of got all of those in a bracket box. You can extend the front if you need to and all that sort of stuff. Let's just do that a little bit too because there is a whoosh. And just go strip. And it's just going to chop them all up for you. Strangely, the top one doesn't usually get done very well, but whatever, nothing is perfect. But what we have now is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bamboo swooshes all separate. So let's see where we can throw these. Does he? Oh, here we go. It's over there. Okay. First swoosh is here. That's almost like a double swoosh. Now, we don't have to be perfect with this. This is kind of like just, and what we'll do is I'll try and checkerboard them too. You don't really want to take up any more, space than you need to. Wow, he just really goes crazy. We may need 3 tracks. So we kind of got that one, then we got that one, now we got that one. Okay. We'll just sort of, roughly do it. That sounds like a double as well. Okay. Ah, there's an effect on this. I'll take that off.
my trusted client at the end of the phone.
Okay. They're not too bad. Let's see if we can just make them a little bit more interesting. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is turn Elastic Audio on all three of these. So if I just highlight those particular tracks, hold down Shift and Option. Shift and Option will basically do the same thing on whatever tracks I have selected. So Shift and Option, and it will turn that onto polyphonic mode as well. They may sort of blink for a second, but that just means that they're processing them. Now, the cool thing is I still have this Elastic Properties window up here. Remember to show it as Option and 5 on the numeric keypad. And we'll just highlight one of these. And again, the idea is just to make it a little bit more different, let's say, because this is the same bit of bamboo. It's nice that the swoosh is slightly different, slightly longer, but let's see what we can make out of it. Okay, so that's a little bit short. So I'm going to TCE that and make it a tiny bit longer. Doesn't have to be crazy, just make it a tiny bit longer. Also, it seems to be his hands, so I might pitch it up a bit. Now, there is a pitch here. You have the option of doing it in semitones or in cents. We'll just go semitones and pitch it up a tiny bit and see what that sounds like. Okay. Okay, so we love that. Let's go to the next one. This is for, so we've got whoosh, whoosh. Yeah, so it's kind of like for the arm getting pulled back. Let's see what that one sounds like. Just play those two actually. Okay, that's all right. I don't mind that one. If it doesn't need it, we won't put it in there. And this was for the pull back. I think this was already slightly lower from memory. Yeah, okay. That is a little low because we get back to the arm, so I'll just pitch it up a tiny bit. I don't think it needs to be any longer. Now that one is sort of the last one, so I wouldn't mind making a bit of a statement with it. So we'll make that one a little bit longer and might even pitch it down a little bit more. Maybe I want to to do more of a triplet feel. Again, yeah. And that's fine. I think that's working okay. Look, now that we've done that, what I might do again is hold down Shift and Option and click on that and turn it off, commit those things. It'll blink for a second. They're the ones that I changed, and that's all cool. One other thing that I am thinking would be nice on that, just to sort of make it even more, is gaudy the right word? I'm not really sure. Oh, thought someone just asked me if I was okay. Sorry, I get the weirdest little messages here sometimes. Yeah, I will also add some reverb on this because they are very short, kind of whooshy sounds. So let's see if that might do something. Now, we didn't really have a look at a template for this. Again, I think some of you were talking about utilizing a template, the one that we created for McLeod's Daughters. That would be an idea, or at least have a similar kind of approach to it. I am going to just create, just the sound effects, let's create a reverb send. So again, a quick way to do that is highlight all the tracks. Again, holding Shift and Option, you can click on a send and pick a bus, or even better, just go to new track. Yeah, I don't have a reverb track set up. If I go to new track, it's just going to say, okay, I want to send that to a stereo auxiliary, and I'm going to call it verb. Again, I just have a habit of calling my buses, with a backslash. And what that'll do is it will, I'm going to untick this box too. If you have that ticked, it's going to put it underneath the first selected track, which is SFX1. If you untick it, it'll put it at the bottom of all of them. So that will just make a bit more sense. So we'll do that. And there's our reverb. I'm going to remember always solo bypass, always. So I'll solo bypass that reverb track. It's all set up. I'll just pick a reverb. And I'll just stick to Deverb because I know that's one that all of you should have available to you. And again, it's a good one. We'll just put that up to 0. And what would work? I don't know. Let's go for a small church. Why not? Yeah, there's a bit of pre-delay on that. I'll pull that down a bit. We'll see what that sounds like. You don't really know until you feed something into it. So we've got all 3 of those selected. Again, holding Shift and Option, I want to have a look at the reverb send so that the line comes up for those tracks. And we can just give like a little bit of a generic level to it. The nice thing about this sort of view and doing it at the same time is that once I've picked a level that I like, I can just go copy, colon, down to the next track and paste, down and paste. So we can just quickly send, you know, the same level to all of them. And we'll just rewind it and play it. See what that sounds like. Yeah,
My
just got
toasted
a
client.
little bit there. It's okay. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so again, that's just using Elastic Audio just to make some little fine adjustments or add a little bit of interest and just make them stick a little bit better, you know. The other one that I saw that we could definitely use it for is that pan hit, because that pan hit is less than ideal, and we can even grab a whoosh and a pan hit. Now, this is one other thing that is very, very common to do in sound effects layering. Now, we haven't really talked about sound effects layering, but when you get into more involved or, you know, more creative, like sound design kind of things, this is kind of like that. We're kind of designing a feel here. Again, we realize that it's a ridiculous kind of film and we're trying to pay a homage to that by putting in some ridiculous sound effects. That whole thing of someone smacking him in their head with a saucepan, you kind of want to, don't think of it as like one effect, think of it as an event and what makes up that event, you know what I mean? You got the pan whooshing through the air because we can sell that. I mean, that's ridiculous. Pans don't cut air, but in films they can. And then we wanted to, you know, hit the head, have a bit of a ringing sound, maybe even put a bit of a punch in there for a bit of bottom end there to make it sound really, you know, authentic. So let's do that. I'm going to just grab one of those bamboo whooshes and I'm just gonna pinch it. Why not? Well, once you've kind of, especially if you're doing a genre film too, once you've picked a style of whoosh, you don't want to go crazy with different whooshes because it's going to sound a little bit schizophrenic. So here we go. We've got whoosh there. That's kind of the arc of it. So that's where I want the loudest part of the waveform, which is the, you know, biggest part of the waveform. Let's see if that fits in there well. It's not bad. It's a little bit short. So again, I might just turn this into polyphonic, Elastic Audio. It processed it quickly, hit Option 5, make it a little bit longer. See if that works. Yeah, it's okay. Maybe a little bit deeper. Cool. I don't mind that. Great. So we've got the whoosh element for it. The next element really is I want that impact to the head. Yay, ultraviolence. So let's see, here we go. Great. Let's drag that. This is a stereo effect. We can choose to use that. Again, stereo, mono, at this stage, don't worry about which one to use so much. Just whatever sounds best to you, utilize that. There are no hard and fast rules. It's just what sounds good, really. So I'm just going to do, you know, nudge with the comma and the full stop key until it's at the point where they meant for it to hit. I think he thought the camera angle was a bit higher, but, you know, hindsight is easy. Let's check out and see what that sounds like. Now, I want it to sound a little bit deeper, so I'm going to flick that into Elastic Audio. Again, put up Option 5 and just pitch it down a bit. Just 3 semitones, maybe. Maybe in too much. We'll go down -2 semitones. It was probably a little bit easier for you to notice that because it's actually tuned. With the whooshes, they don't have a note on it. It's just like white noise. Okay, so let's say we're crazy happy with that. And I'm not. Okay. To me, that was the transient's too quick. I want it to be more of a bong, you know what I mean? So I wouldn't mind if the hit went for a bit longer, but the transient is, we're talking about dynamics, loud to soft. What plugin affects loud to soft?
Compressor?
Was that you, Nick?
No, James. who's
James,
actually
here. Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. How you going? Yeah, sure. We're
thanks.
going to have a look at the compressor. So if I go to dynamics and maybe we just use a limiter or whatever it is, this should make it, let's have a listen. Okay, we are getting it. Yeah, we're going to make that loud point just a little bit longer. So it seems like it has a slightly longer impact and it's going to feel a bit harder. Let's just render that. Now it's a bit long because that ring, it doesn't only, it raises the whole thing, including the decay of the back end. So now let's go back into Elastic Audio and shrink it. Yeah, still a bit long. Let's shrink it down a little bit more. Hasn't turned orange. Okay, and I'll just fade that out a little bit. So now we've got our whoosh sound. We got our ding sound, and let's chuck in something, throw in something so that's going to just, put a bit of bottom end to it. So remember, we did download the kick and the punch. I like that. That's the punch, I think. So we'll get the stereo punch too. That already has a little bit of a whoosh in it as well, so hopefully that's something that will work. Now we want it to be, what would make sense is if it happened at the same time, but we have two different transients. Let's just sort of make the punch a little bit early and then make the ring a little bit later and see if that works. Yeah. A little bit louder there. Yeah, so again, it is a good idea to just try and layer these things because this is going to make a bit of a more interesting go of the event itself. And that has a really long intro, so let's just cut it down to size. Now that I've done, what I wanted to do with Elastic Audio, again, it is a good idea just to, if you aren't sure whether you left your Elastic Audio on or you turned it off, there is that little thing on the right-hand side there. It kind of looks like a little trident. That means that Elastic Audio is still on. So again, if you don't want to chew up too much CPU, you just want to commit that and then everything will be fine. So we've got just a little music thing that we played with.
My toasted grind at the end of the phone had put me out of sync. My powers are unstoppable.
So yeah, that's just a little bit of a demonstration of how you can utilize Elastic Audio for both of those things. Let's just have a look at that other music that we brought in, the 80s music. Because I do like that. The thing about rhythmic elements, I mean, I like it because I have no taste, but the thing about rhythmic elements is it does sort of tend to pick up the pace a bit. So it would be nice just to see what this sounds like. I wonder if maybe we can, okay, so we've got the crash zoom there, and that's accented with the flute. Maybe it would be nice to have like a boing or whatever. Maybe we can, as soon as there's a threat, like from the saucepan, maybe we can bring that action music in on the saucepan, which would probably predict that that saucepan's going to be used to hit something.
My toasted grind at the end of the phone had put me out of sync. My powers are
the one thing I do love about MIDI and people sharing files is they usually stick to the key of C, it seems. So that was actually in tune, which is a bit strange. Yeah. So, yeah, you can kind of... Oh, there we go. Let's have a little bit of a look at how we might want to edit this. That was definitely not the right length, and it's never going to be the right length, of course, unless you compose it yourself. But tab to transient, really handy, yeah? So that button there, remember that when that is engaged and we have our cursor in the clip, when we hit tab, it'll just go to the next transient, which is a bit of a kick in the snare in music usually. So let's find that moment where it gets smacked. Maybe we want to accentuate him hitting the chair. Yeah, it's always good to try and pick a moment with the vision. We're always doing something to the visuals. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut it on that particular transient, and I'm going to go right to the end and get that last one that has the decay on it. Cut it there. So what we want to do is where that first cut is, we want to place the end cut. Easiest way to do that, highlight the section you want to get rid of, hit delete. Your cursor's going to wind up at the front there. And then if you just hold down Control and do the hand click on that end file, it'll butt it right up to there. And that'll always work because you've used tab to transient. Just put a little fade in and we'll see if that out on the chair works. No. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, that definitely sounded bad because it wasn't really on the beat. It came off on like a 3 or something. Let's see if just moving it 1 beat forward helps. One more, yeah. So sometimes you're maybe not going to be able to get it to hit perfectly. However, that kind of makes more sense musically. But if we really wanted it to hit that the chair, like we did originally, that's when we can use Elastic Audio again. It's really handy for that too. So if I highlight all of these, remember that Elastic Audio is going to treat every clip independently. So now that we've edited this down to sort of the length that we want, we need to render it. And that was Option, Shift, and 3, not the 3 on the numeric keypad. And that is basically our edit for our music. But we want that last note here to wind up where that chair marker point is. Yeah. So same as before. It's really easy. Go down here, polyphonic because of course there's a lot of different frequencies in this music. And I'm just going to highlight that, hit Option 5, and use that TCE. And I'm just going to visually get it there. And that's it. That's 103%. It's only 3% difference. That should not be that much that we're going to hear an artifact in there. So let's see if that works.
Hello.
You know what? No, I think that's not working. We're going to accent it on the head hit, which is there. And that's also when that other music is going down. And that's easy. We haven't turned off Elastic Audio yet. Let's have a listen to what it sounds like doing that. That's better. It wasn't perfectly in time. So let's see, we got that ding there. Yeah, a little bit later. Maybe even on the same cue as the saucepan. Give it a little bit more. Come on, buddy. Let's see what that's like. Okay. Yeah. And yeah, we've kind of successfully just found some music from somewhere, and edited in so that it makes sense in the context of the actual action that's happening on the screen there, yeah? So that was just a little bit of demo on how to use Elastic Audio, and there's a couple of things there. Remember that polyphonic is what you want to stick to when you've got a lot of frequencies in there, which is pretty much going to be music all the time. If you don't have an out point in the music, you can always use Verify to do that little like a DJ drop that we had a bit of a look at. And yeah, if you need to recycle the same effect, then just changing the time, compression, expansion slightly and the pitch is just going to help you get more out of that one effect. What I'll do is I'll stop the recording here. And, oh, geez, I hit the wrong button. Well done, Adrian. Stop the recording. Don't keep talking. That'll be really annoying. And stop the recording. Yeah, there you go. Cool.